The most fundamental type of analysis we're going to do is descriptive statistics for categorical variables. And we've already seen examples of this in earlier analytics activities. So we're going to do one more or a couple more. This time we're going to do an example on market segmentation analysis of credit users. So, what is a market segmentation analysis? Here's the deal. I gave you a PDF without the answers. So what you see in red is something that you should put on your notes, or if you printed out a hard copy of this PDF, this is something that you can put on there. So when it comes to market segmentation analysis of credit users, what we're trying to do is make it to where as we're analyzing different credit users, we want to put them in similar categories. In this case, we might find that there are people who use credit a lot but pay their bills on time. And then we have those who might be behind on their debts. And then there are people who try to avoid credit at any cost. They just will not do credit cards. And then there are those who use credit on a day to day basis, but they don't, and that's not care. That should be, they don't carry balances. So just putting people in different categories. That's what market segmentation is. What variables might you include in a segmentation analysis of credit users? Well, lots of different variables. It could be that we want to know how much credit people use, how responsible are they, what do they use the credit for, how much do they purchase in person versus online. We might ask demographics type of questions like their marital status, number of children, what kind of job do they have, income. So if you think about a lot of these types of data, they could be nominal or they could be ordinal, both of which are categorical in nature. For categorical variables, the statistical procedure we use is percentages. So as I mentioned in an earlier video, we're always going to start our analysis with a research question. So in the next two examples, we're going to use data from the National Financial Capability Survey. So I don't have the actual data available for you. We're just going to, and we're not going to run any kind of R analysis. I'll just show you the output. And we already learned in our first couple of analytics activities the type of code that we would need to use in R to come up with this. So just imagine that you have the data and that one of the variables is F2 underscore 1, which would be um, a question related to whether people pay their credit card bills each month. And the answer is either a yes, which would be 1, or no, which is a 2. So this is an example of nominal data. It's a category. It's either yes or a no. And the National Financial Capability Survey, I'll give you a little background information on there. That's something that's done every 2 or 3 years where people are surveyed based on their credit use and different things related to finances. Now, before we jump into actually answering this, right, if we were going to run our analysis, we would find that there might be a lot of missing data. So, looking at this output from R, for example, we see that 5,857 out of 27,091 responses was NA or missing. And as an analyst, that might be concerning because, see, if you look here, that's over 20%, and that's significant. And so that would require a little bit of digging. Now, That digging would be an advanced topic. So I just wanted to point out this as an example. But once you dig into it, you'll find that it's okay that this number is so high because the way the question was presented to people, they had to answer it regardless of whether they carry credit cards or not. And so a lot of people who choose not to use credit, because that's a possibility, right? If we look at our examples of market segments, there are those who will not use credit cards. So it makes sense that some people will not answer that question because it doesn't apply to them. So that's the kind of stuff that's important to know about our data. All right, so going back to our research question and what we have here, let's just go over some of the items that we see in the output. So first thing would be over here would be the name of the data set. So it would be NFCS NR, and then the variable name, it follows that with a dollar sign and then F2 underscore one. So that's the variable name. And we have this column where it shows that one is for yes and two is for no. And then NA is for not available. And we can see that we have 11,768 people who said yes, 9,466 said no, and then 5,857 did not respond. And the percent valid, well, that's based on what's, well, as the name suggests, the valid responses. So this 55.42%, that's 11,768 divided by this total minus 5,857. So it doesn't include the NAs. And then the same would be for number two. That's 9,466 divided by 27,091 minus this. So that's 44.58%. And the percent total would be based on the total right here, not just the valid. So this 43.44%, that's 11,768 divided by 27,091. And then the same would be for number two. This 34.94%, that's 9,466 divided by 27,091. And then 21.62%, that's 5,857 divided by 27,091. And as I put on here, the cumulative percent is not useful for nominal data. So we're only interested in looking at the percent valid over here. So the answer to our research question, what percentage of people say they pay off their credit card bills each month? Well, that would be the ones that said yes under number one. And if we look at that, it's 55.42%. So a complete answer to the research question would be, of those credit card holders who answered the question, 55.42% say they pay off their credit card bills each month. So if you look, we specified that that would be people who answered the question. All right, next example. This time we'll be looking at variable A7, where it's either a 1, 2, 3, or 4 with those different living arrangements, whether that's single adult household, live with a spouse or partner, live in parents' home, or live with other family or roommate. The research question is, what are the living arrangements of people who own credit cards? Well, if we run our statistical analysis, this would be the output. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we have these missing data as well. And if we dig a little deeper, we'll find that, okay, that's okay also based on just the information that we find. So the answer to the research question, since we know the NA in this case is okay, would be, of those credit card holders who answered the question, 24.11% live in single adult households, because remember, one is single adult household. 63.46% live with a spouse or partner, because number two is live with a spouse or partner, and so on. So that would be the complete way to answer the question. So, like if you look at three, that's 4.74%. And then last one, 7.69%. Looks like that needs to have a percent there. All right, so those are examples of nominal variables. In the next video, let's do an ordinal variable example.